Hello to all my booty seekers and cheek chasers. This is the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Della Hoya-Reynoso, and I am so grateful you are listening to this episode. If you're new here, you should know that I believe that my purpose is to uplift, inspire, and educate others to communicate masterfully so that they can better understand themselves and others. I've spent years in the personal development and transformational technology space, and I want to share with you the wisdom that was passed down to me from giants in the industry. So if you're on a journey of self-mastery, like me, looking to make dreams a reality and willing to be a leader for your family and community, then join me in seizing the butt cheeks of life and giving them a big ol' squeeze. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, and I have such a fantastic guest with me today. A good friend of mine came in and is going to spend the next hour or so with us talking about things in the comedy scene, motivational anime, and just a bunch of other fun topics. Sunny Carlin, thank you for being on this episode.
Cue the applause.
I know. I have to get my editor to put in some sort of like Seinfeld laugh track.
One thing I really loved was the booty chasers. Is that what you call them?
Yeah. So Carpe Natem, and I've kind of broke this down on one podcast. So I think that like I love the idea that you should be motivational, but bring some humor into it. And you've heard of Carpe Diem, just seize the day.
Yes.
So Carpe Noctem is seize the night, and Carpe Natem, or as I say it, Carpe Natem, is seize the butt cheeks. So it's like get up, get after it, but also like you can go up into the world and succeed and do good and kind of do it like in a bullish way where you're just fighting all the way to the top. It's an uphill battle. Or you can just roll with the punches, have some good times, make fun of things, just kind of laugh.
Yeah.
Because in the shittiest situations I've been in, like say I had to do community service because, you know, I got in trouble, so I had to do community service. What made that community service better was the funny kid, was the funny guy.
Yeah, that's what pulled me through a lot of stuff was my humor in adverse situations. And personally, it's like whenever I've like grabbed somebody by the booty and they didn't want me to grab them by the booty, and then they punched me, I did roll with that punch. And as a result, I was actually like a lot better for it because once I got rid of the resentment, obviously, because like no one likes getting grabbed, slapped in the face.
Right. Also, nobody wants to be grabbed like non-consensually for sure.
I mean, it's cool. You know, like I personally like getting my butt touched. Like, you know,
but that's consensual. With life, it chooses everyone. It says that anybody can grab a piece. So like the piece I want to grab,
though,
what?
Like if you're going to have like such a nice piece and like a nice butt and everything, why would you not want it touched? Like it's
because there's something in it, and this is something that I didn't understand until like I was married, was that sometimes seeing something and not being able to touch it gives it way more value than if anybody can get it. Like I used to be the type where it was like anybody can get it, and due to a rampant sex addiction, you know, those numbers are in the triple digits, right?
Yeah.
But anybody could get it. Anybody could get it.
Any 7-Eleven bathroom.
Exactly. And you know what? It's happened there. So it's like, oh man, I think the
Little Caesar's dumpster.
The worst place I've ever had hooked up at.
Consensual sex?
No, all my sex has been consensual.
What was the worst place that you had non-consensual sex?
I've never had non-consensual sex. That's what I was about to say. I was like, I've never had non-consensual. It's always been consensual. But the one place I did hook up at was a school for a preschool for the mentally handicapped.
Oh shit.
And I remember this girl rode me on pavement, bare knees. Savage.
What a trooper.
What a trooper, yeah. Right? 10 out of 10.
Did she go to the school?
No. Dude, and this
what was her reading level?
At least 8th grade. No.
Nice.
So yeah. I love comedians specifically because y'all have such a way of thinking about life in such a twisted way, but it's never in a feeling of animosity. Like I've heard people who are just angry at life and will look at the world and look and say mean things as a way of like justifying their actions and their thoughts and their feelings. But comedians will look at something and maybe interpret it in a way that's quote unquote mean, but it's never for the sake of like hurting the person. It's for the intention of making people laugh.
Yes.
And I feel like that's
over something. Like I've done that before where like something has caused me resentment or like I got frustrated at especially feelings of hopelessness and not being able to have control of something. I feel like I can take control of the situation by making a joke about it, and especially my life too.
I feel like that's how I decompartmentalize, and I can actually attest to that. That is how I decompartmentalize, where when I see a situation and it frustrates me, or the first thing I do is break it down. And the best way of breaking things down is to make fun of it. Mm. So if you hold somebody up into a pedestal, to sit there and be like, your nose is off, your teeth are yellow, your hair is shit, your body,
got a stupid chin.
You got a stupid chin. Helps
dumb
you,
old ears.
Helps you bring them down from the pedestal, because we are all on the same level, right? We all, at a fundamental level, we are all humans. At the basic level, the person is just a person living their life. I'm a person living mine, right? So if to tear them down like that, in my mind, it helps me kind of like bring me to them on, like, let me get them to my level. Cause right now I'm seeing them on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But if I were to outwardly express any of those thoughts, they're just hurtful and terrible. Right. And that's what I want to avoid.
The weight of what that would do to like, cause like that does help. That does hurt. Like whenever I see how my negative emotions affect people and how like my negative reaction to my emotions, which is all in house.
Right.
Like it's everything that I can handle. It's like standing inside of the house and like getting really, really mad that it's not cleaned up, and then you're yelling at your neighbors like, like,
and you don't want
just clean your house, dude.
And you don't want emotions to like leak out. Basically, you want to be a cup that's full but not overflowing, where you're spilling all these negative emotions out into the world, out on other people. When it comes to like, when I say like I decompartmentalize by like breaking things down, I am making fun of it in my head, but it never comes out like that, because I genuinely feel like a lot of the thoughts that I have, and since forever, have been super negative and super self-destructive, and like I want to be so negative to the world around me. So I force myself to be aware of it, and the only thing that comes out of my mouth or anything on like Twitter or Facebook or any socials is something positive, because there's enough negative in the world. I don't need to add to it.
Yeah.
So like I'm overly positive to combat my overly negative thoughts.
You know something? I really, really enjoy shaking the cage, man. Like I really, really enjoy like I get some pleasure out of it. I don't like the after effects whenever when people are just like, why would you say that? I'm so hurt.
Oh, bro,
like,
I am a shit stir. Trust me.
Dude, I love upsetting people, especially if you don't like me. Like if you like, because like initially, like, not everyone's gonna like you. No one,
right.
Like, no matter what you do, there are people out there that are not gonna like you for whatever reason. But
I love teasing. I love getting people, and it's so messed up. But like at the end, I try not to take it too far. But God damn it, have I taken it too far? Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so there's this one comedian, like which I have a lot of respect for, Craig Fergola.
Yeah,
you know him. Okay, so really cool guy, like fucking funny as hell. And the reason why I like and have so much respect for him personally is because he has consistently told me and made it very, very apparent that he does not like me.
Wow.
Yeah. And like consistently though, it's like consistent. It wasn't just like, oh, I like you now. And it's like, no, it's just like, does not like the way that I smell. He does not like the way that I walk or I talk or anything. Like whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
You really got to give it to him for integrity of like holding on to a thought.
That's consistent.
It's very consistent.
Yeah, he just let me know from the very beginning, I don't like you. I never will. Good job.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I
love,
thank
you, Craig.
And I love the fact that you were able to see it from like a place of acceptance of like, I know he doesn't like me. Yeah. And you're cool with that.
He gave me really good advice though. He gave me some really good advice.
Stop being you.
Yeah. Just like, that thing that you're doing with you being you. Yeah, don't do that. And no,
what did you think he meant by that?
No, I was still living in my van at the time, and I just started pursuing comedy, and he was like, you can't, as it may seem admirable or, nice to live in your van and be like, oh, I'm pursuing all this stuff. But if your mental health is so bad that it affects everything, you have to get your own consistent space, and you have to get in your own place.
That is some really great advice, especially for people who are following their passions. Like, I follow my passions, but thank God that I also do work that pays for my expenses.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are trying to make their passion their full-time job, and I admire and commend those people. But
I would love to, like, eventually it's going to happen with enough consistency.
I think about it like how little I need to live. If I can make this podcast earn like a certain amount and like just that bare minimum where it replaces my full-time income, right? I could live off, even if it didn't match my full-time income, like maybe it was just like 75%.
Maybe like an OnlyFans thing where you get completely fucking nude and then you just like, you know,
and do comedy naked.
Yeah. And so it's like you can release the clips on like zoomed in clips on TikTok.
I thought about doing an OnlyFans, but like for the podcast.
Bro, I want to get like
where all the episodes, it's like a Patreon, same thing. It's meant to not, I mean, it just happens to be.
I would love to get an implant
for porn.
You know?
Like a chip?
No, like a implant in my you know, my penis.
Uh-huh.
Like you just
Why?
make it bigger.
Whoa.
Yeah. 'Cause I want to make like, you know, like make it a lot bigger, and then.
Do you really think it's the size of a boat, not the motion of the ocean?
I just want it to be like terrifying while soft. You know, it doesn't even need to be able to get hard.
I feel like that's more for you than for like.
Oh, totally. It's completely selfish, and I want to just like walk around with it all the time, and everyone's just like, "What the hell?" And like, I won't have sex with anybody. You know, I'll take a vow of abstinence.
I've seen, so in trading for like basically the equivalence of like what a horse is carrying. Yes. You would swear celibacy?
Yeah, because I'll hurt somebody with that, kind of equipment.
But you would behave in a different way if you had it?
Yeah.
Do you ever imagine?
Be pantsless all the time. I would wear like tight pants.
Constantly?
Yeah, dude. Because like right now, like whenever it gets really cold or like whenever I'm just not really feeling myself, because I'm on an antidepressant. And so like my sex drive isn't very strong. Mm-hmm. And so my penis is kind of like, it just looks scared. You know, it's just scared, and it's got all the like I had my foreskin removed, and it's
what?
like it's actually not like in my adult life. Whenever I was younger,
oh, okay,
I had a hole at the bottom of my penis.
I knew somebody who was so self-conscious about having foreskin that they removed it in like the 4th or 5th grade.
What the hell?
Yeah, like he told us.
You know,
but you had a hole, like a secondary hole
at the bottom of my penis. Yeah,
I've heard of that.
I think I was a hermaphrodite, dude.
What?
I think that's why I'm so like emotional, because I'm actually part woman.
I don't think that's inherently
I'm not a
gender
scientist.
thing.
Yeah, I'm not a scientist, so there's no like actual.
I've met some males that are very emotional. I just think it really like what your genetic makeup is, but either way, man, you look like a large, robust male.
I know, and it's always it's very deceptive too, because I am a huge sissy. Like I
define sissy though. Like what do you do?
I avoid conflict,
which is a great thing.
Yeah, I avoid conflict. I cry.
Which you should do.
I mean,
whether you're a female, male, or non-binary.
Over everything.
Good.
You know, just all the time. Yeah. And let's see. Dude, I got a bidet.
I have a bidet.
Isn't it great?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's the best.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I don't
it's the gentle lappings of a lover. That's how I feel.
Sometimes I don't even have to do anything. I just sit there and let the water stream.
I gotta stop eating Taco Bell though, because like it's destroying my asshole and making my.
But that's why you have the bidet.
The bidet like kind of hurts because it's like, you know.
This is why I absolutely love comedians.
Wounded, even the love can hurt.
This is why I love comedians, because you were the first person on this podcast to talk about not only their penis but also your asshole. I love it. High five. You get a high five.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to talk about with you that you had mentioned off the mic is that you send inspirational or motivational anime clips to people. Like you said, you send it to your sister, and you like doing that as a hobby.
It's I think it's actually a lot more malicious than what you're giving it credit for. I love seeing like the emotional reactions from. Because like my like, you know, you've heard of My Hero Academia.
Yes.
There's this one scene in like it's the 3rd episode where the main character Midoriya, in this world they have superpowers, and they're called quirks, and so like 80% of the population has some form of quirk.
And he was born without one. And he wanted to be
he wanted to be a hero so bad. And then there was like whenever he was like 6 years old, he went to the doctor and he's like, oh, you're not. It's not gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
And his mom was like. Very, very like, oh, I'm so sorry. Instead of just like being, like, oh, you can do this. She was just like, oh, I'm so sorry that it's not going to happen. And then fast forward to like episode 3, he meets All Might, who is the number one
ranked hero.
His hero, like his idol.
Everyone's hero. It's like meeting the Beyonce of heroes.
Goes to him, and like after this like series of events that happens, Midoriya is just like walking back, kind of just like, oh, better get back to my usefulest existence and everything. And then All Might shows up, and he thanks him because he helped All Might find the strength to be a hero.
Yeah.
And then he tells him, you too can be a hero. And it's so emotional that like I'm actually starting to get choked up just thinking about it.
And, and to add even more context to this, like without any powers, he went in to save somebody who was being attacked by like somebody with evil powers. And he jumped in there having no powers.
No chance to win.
And people with powers didn't jump in, which was crazy. And All Might saw that and was all like, anybody can be born with a power, but you are
a hero.
Yeah.
A constant in anime is over insurmountable odds. Everything is stacked up against you. There's no way you can win. There's no way you can do this. This character will screaming for about 3 episodes, just
for
like
sure.
Powering up and everything
for 4 episodes.
Yeah, just like, oh man, whenever I drop my hands, you're done, buddy.
I love the fact that anime has now become so mainstream, because when I liked it as a kid, it was the nerdiest thing that you could do. You were a dork, and there are still dorks in this subculture. Trust me, dorks, I love y'all, and I can have great conversations with y'all. I'm a dork too, but y'all are some super dorks.
Yeah, and when we get older, we get hotter.
Yeah,
so.
Thank God for that.
The glow up is real.
The animes that I watched were so intense. Like, for example, Naruto, if you stripped it down, it is children that are fighting each other with magic and knives and are stabbing each other.
Child soldiers are being forced to fight each other in a war.
For honor against other villages, right? And then I show somebody and the English dub will be like, ha ha ha, believe it. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's so upsetting. The thing I hate the most in anime, in all anime, was the scratching behind the head going, they did that way too much. And it was always done by somebody that murdered like 9 people in the previous scene.
just killed a bunch of people, and they're just like, oh, Yoshi.
That's so quirky.
This is who I am as a character. I do like that. Well, there's some animes now that are very more dark, and like they don't try to hide that. Like Berserk. You ever seen that one?
So I've read the lore of it, so I understand it, and it gets dark,
brutal,
bro. So this one character who's like the leader of the battalion that all the warriors fight, and he gets tortured and his mind goes fucked because for like a year they held him prisoner and they tortured him.
Cut his tongue out, cut all his tendons out. And this guy was like a beautiful man. Like he was very strong, one of the greatest swordsmen alive.
So then the most evil creatures in all of existence reach out to him and they're like, if you sacrifice your entire team, we'll basically make you a god. And you will join our group of evil people. And he gave it up. He gave up everyone for it. And the people that survived were like his teammates, the other main characters, like Berserk, right? We won't talk about what happens to the girl, but dude, look up Berserk. It is not only is it like one of the greatest animes of all time, and I haven't even watched it.
Very well drawn.
It is so influential.
Yes. Like
Bloodborne From Software.
Yes.
Highly Berserk influenced.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. The creator of Berserk, he died recently.
Did he really?
Yeah, so there's like...
did it finish?
They kind of did, because like Casca, because like the horrible stuff that happened and everything, she lost her mind. And
then has a demon baby.
Yeah, and...
who saves her, which is like a crazy...
Yeah. Well, Guts, there's like the main character and everything.
Oh, right. His name's not Berserk. His name's Guts.
Yeah, he had a very tragic backstory because like he...
sold into slavery.
Well, he was born from a corpse. Like his mom was executed, was hanging from a tree, and he was born from her, like in just a pool of blood. And he was found by some mercenaries
who trained him to be a slave soldier.
Yes, and he was actually sold whenever he was a little boy.
And then got diddled.
Yeah. And then
he ends up killing the dude that diddled him. Yeah,
He had to train with a big sword because he was a little boy, and so he had a big sword with him. It was a regular sized sword, but it was big to him. But he just always practiced with a big sword, and so that as he got
bigger he got, the bigger his sword.
The sword always got bigger too, and so that's why he has this giant sword that he just swings around.
And there's something about like main characters having giant swords that is such like a thing in anime. Because Bleach, by the way. That dude, first episode, gets the biggest fucking sword I've ever seen. Like, his spirit is so big. Yeah, of course it is. He's the main character.
Yeah.
Like at some point, like even Demon Slayer, where... Did you watch Demon Slayer?
Yeah. I watched Demon Slayer.
So, not to spoil anything for anybody, but it's a great... I thought it was a great anime. It was recommended to me by my best friend. And if your best friend recommends you something... I feel like anytime anybody recommends you to play a video game or watch a movie or watch a series, they're saying, like, this is... an insight into my mind. This is the stuff that I like, and it's almost it's an honor to be given a recommendation.
Because like I've what I found is like most attractive about somebody like my ex, like she was not in anime whatsoever, like never seen anything of the likes, and because I was super into Demon Slayer and wanted to watch it, I'd already watched like this first season on Netflix. She watched it and then went and saw the movie with me.
That's sweet. See,
dude, I was just
shout out to the girls who put in the effort to do the things that the guy wants to do and they have no interest in.
You do not care about this. like oh my god, like she learned all the like the names.
That's
and
sweet.
all the
See, that's love. That's real
dude,
love.
That was great.
If you are currently with a partner that does this, you should hold on to them. And if you're fighting with your partner for them to be interested in the things that you're interested in, sorry, honey, that's not the one for you, buddy.
And I'm telling you, buddy, listen, guy. All right, if
hey, friend,
you know you're a nerd, okay? Guys, you know you're a nerd, so you better be grateful for her.
Oh my god, I saw something online the other day. They were like, it was sarcasm. Someone was just like, bisexual girl with gamer boyfriend. I've never seen that. And you both watch anime? No way.
She's a bartender and has an OnlyFans.
The game that you play together is Animal Crossing. Whoa, so original.
Oh, they're the best. They're like those are the best people out there. The ones that are just like.
Yeah, and I'm not here to judge. I'm here to comment, and my comments. That's where I do my best, right?
You guys are nerds.
Yeah, and I love you, so because I'm a nerd. I love getting nerdy. I found out, so like American comics, never into them. I'm like more Japanese, Asian animes.
Oh, I thought you were talking like comedians. I was just like, there's a good Japanese comedian.
Hans is a great Asian.
He's not
woman.
Japanese.
He's Korean.
He's
South Korean.
I'm sorry. He's German.
His name is German. They were like, we're gonna give you a successful name.
No, that guy's a Viking.
Man's a good comic, but for like American comics, we're talking like books, like graphic novels. I mean, those get super intense too. The Injustice, where Superman gets tricked into killing Lois Lane, so he goes dictator
while she was
evil.
Pregnant with his kid.
Was he?
Yeah.
Did you know about Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy?
That was this the universe where he gave her cancer because
he gave her cancer?
Gwen gets killed from like the fall and he tries to save her and everything.
That one. So,
but there's one scenario where Mary Jane gets she dies from exposure to radiation because he kept like diddling her thing, and
because he was radioactive.
No, yeah, because he was radioactive, and so like his semen and like his spit
poisoned her.
Yes.
Wow.
Eventually gave her cancer and she died.
Whoa, I didn't know that. Yep. I know about Gwen Stacy, and spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know about Gwen Stacy, this is the time to either pause or skip forward.
She dies.
Yeah, she does die. But the craziest part is before she dies. So Gwen Stacy is dating Peter Parker. She works for Norman Osborn, and she starts confiding in him about all the problems she's been having with the relationship. And then during Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy end up having a fight. So, they end up breaking up. And during that breakup, she hooks up with Norman Osborn.
I've heard of this.
Who's Green Goblin, gets pregnant. Goes back to Spider-Man, finds out she's pregnant with twins of the Green Goblins, and then they end up breaking up. And they end up she ends up giving the kids, and then after the kids are born, Goblin's like, I have no use for you. So like he throws her off of a bridge, and Spider-Man goes to save her and ends up not being able to grab her. He ends up like webbing her feet to the bridge. The whiplash is so intense it breaks your neck.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man gets dark after that. That's when Spider-Man gets real, and then he ends up having conversations of like, it wasn't your fault, or maybe it was, or like he gets real introspective about like, am I saving people? And that's when it goes from friendly neighborhood Spider-Man to like Spider-Man. Like it's just like kind of sad. Should probably be
super
on
sad local Spider-Man.
Takes Abilify Spider-Man.
I had a radioactive Zoloft and now I cry tears of justice.
Ask your local doctor if Spider-Man is good for you. Jeez, man. Like it just, the stories that you get from comics, yes, it's nerd culture. Yes, your time could be spent doing something else, blah, 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 blah. You know, screw the naysayers. The stories that I've gotten to experience, the creative minds that I've gotten to explore because of books is amazing. And I would never trade up my nerd culture for like saving face, being like, oh, I don't want to be perceived as not cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I used to be like really kind of self-conscious about like liking anime and liking video games and all this stuff. And
I embraced it, and I knew it came with I embraced it with the backlash. I knew it was a nerdy thing to do, but
it's nice to like. But I have a kind of a privilege though, because like I'm like 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
I'm built like a linebacker, and so
I was short, fat. I had the biggest tits in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And, I wore glasses. I had acne, and I liked anime. I just chose all the wrong things.
Now, that's how I am now. I'm a linebacker now, but like back in the day, I was like in high school, whenever I was like 18 years old, my senior year, I was almost 300 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then I ended up like from 18 to 21 because I worked out a little bit, and I joined the Navy, and so I wasn't in good enough shape to join, and so they just ran me every day over and over again. Yeah,
most of my larger friends lost weight to join the military, and then when they got out of the military, they were thin. And then when they got out of the military after like a couple of years in service, they kind of put back on the pounds.
Yeah, because you stop being required to
run 8 miles with a backpack on.
Well, I mean, like I was in the Navy, so there wasn't really like a high stakes.
So you just had to give blowjobs to just like commanders.
Exactly, dude. So like that's actually why they kicked me. They kicked me out.
Bad head.
No, because I wasn't gay. Like just like I tried real hard. Like I tried the hardest I could. I kissed all the butt and sucked all the wiener.
Hey, shout out to the people that defend this country. So that we have the privilege of saying stupid shit like this.
Yeah, thanks for sucking all that Peter, guys. I appreciate it.
Metaphorically and literally.
Yeah. The one thing I learned is especially like I go to Kill Tony, and whenever somebody who's a veteran gets on stage, Hinchcliffe usually changes his tone and goes like, "Oh, let's appreciate the heroes. One of the heroes that are on here. Give them a round of applause." And I'm like, "Bro, not all of them are heroes. All right."
Yeah.
I worked at a Walmart after I got out of the military, and it was more technical than what I had to do there.
I feel like it's harder to lease like a Dodge Charger.
It's a job, and
to join the military, like to get in is so easy. They take you sometimes when you're 17.
Oh my God, it's not easy to get in because my ex-wife, she whenever I got out or whenever I got kicked out, she wanted to go in, and we all wanted that sweet military government money, and so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try it myself," and I was like, "Oh yeah, do that. I'll be a stay-at-home husband. I'll just work on my body and stay hot."
You also get the benefit of like spousal pay.
Oh heck yeah! And then just like I cheat on her all I want while she's gone on deployment,
which is the military thing to do.
Yeah,
sorry for the vets.
I'm a military spouse. That's what you do.
Yeah, you're upholding the stereotype.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So it's like while they're out defending the country, I would support the back home, like all the people back home.
Right.
Yeah, like I would sleep with the civilian population back home. You know, just like kind of like
you gotta. Set
I'm a
war
husband.
You gotta set yourself at a higher standard.
Yes.
You only have to. You have to hook up with other people who have like they're entrepreneurs. So you're only supporting local businesses.
Exactly. You know, finally someone who gets it. You know, talk to my ex-wife. But anyway, okay, so
This is why I love comedians, y'all. No other episode, none of my solo episodes will ever be like this. These are the conversations I have. Can I actually tell you a joke I wrote? And I workshopped this with some veterans, and they love this joke. So sorry if this offends anybody, but also I'm not sorry because it's a joke, y'all.
I'm already offended.
So, found out that I love being choked in bed, but I only like it if it's a surprise. I hate it when they think it's my idea. That's why I exclusively date veterans.
You know, Christina Mariani, have you seen her?
Yeah.
She has a really funny joke. Like her delivery's amazing. Just like she's really
The
harnessed.
Awkwardest girl
in
a
the
movie.
world.
And
In the world, bro. Like,
and even off when she's doing the interview.
that's her.
Yeah.
That's her. That's who Christina is. Like she just
Funny, hilarious comedian.
just so anxiety ridden. Like she reminds me of a Great Dane, you know, that has PTSD.
Like she almost looks like she's shaking a little.
Yeah, all the time.
But she's so sweet. She's so nice, and
Yes.
she's really funny. Like her jokes are well thought out, well written. She's a badass comic.
Oh yeah, I hate her. But like, she has a joke about like she dates she was dating a police officer and he didn't choke her, so I guess it's not advertised. Like it's not as advertised. She does a way better job because it's her joke and everything. But she's a killer.
I tried to do like anti-cop jokes. Look, if you protect and serve and you are a good person, love you. Great job.
When you're a minority, it comes from a place of anger
And experience.
Yeah,
like
so.
I got pulled out of my car for sitting in it. I was just sitting with another person who was browner than me, and we both got taken out of the car and sat on the curb for no reason, and our entire car was searched and they let us go.
Yeah.
They did all that for nothing.
No, I mean,
Literally. You know, and this is in Berkeley.
The
So
way
like,
you look, you know.
and look, you put your life on the line. I feel like all cops have probably like some PTSD or something. So like, it's a hard job. It should be better trained. There should be better people
Imagine
doing
everybody hating you for doing your job.
Yeah. Right. And then you know who gets all the credit for things? And this is from like EMTs. They say that the firefighters are the ones who just show up and everyone's like, thank God they're here.
They're here.
Meanwhile,
those guys just beat you at the softball tournament between the police department and the fire department. And then they just come to it. They're like, oh, thank God the EMTs and the fire department are here. And the police are like, what the heck? I'm so mad. I'm just going to choke somebody.
They don't even say thank you to the EMTs. Like, yeah, I've been working on this guy for the last 15 minutes trying to resuscitate him, but thank God the firefighters are here. There wasn't even a fire.
There wasn't even a fire.
They show up as protocol.
You're just here to fight my patience.
Right.
All right. That's all you're
here to stand there and be handsome. And it's just like, okay.
Oh my God. You with your great chests.
But I tried to do a joke. I try to do like anti-cop humor in Austin and in Texas. Doesn't really fall. People don't really like it.
Actually,
they're very pro-cop.
There's my buddy Bernard. He was like he's a black man.
Okay.
And
thank you for adding that detail.
Yes.
Bernard White?
Huh?
Whitey?
No.
Bernard White? No,
he's dark white.
No.
Very, very dark white.
No, there's a guy named Bernard Whitey, and he's also a African American.
Yeah, I think it's the same guy I'm talking about. Like, I don't know his last name. He's like a stocky
larger
guy.
man with a kind of like an afro-ish
like,
kind
hey,
of.
what's going on?
That guy. Yeah. So his stage name is Whitey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and he always has joints on him?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the same guy we're talking about. Okay,
great
so
guy.
he has this bit about how he relates, he relates like black people to apes or something, like in the narrative, and it's like, you know, and he's like, well, people don't laugh at that. I'm like, yeah, because they would feel guilty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I would feel guilty for finding that funny, just like, you know, Will Smith, like, because it's like he's just laughing at that. He's laughing at the like a harmless joke, and then his wife looks at him and he's like, oh man, now I gotta stand up and defend her honor.
To that point, I've actually heard some comedians say that like it's some people are allowed to say and get away with certain topics, but if another person says it of the wrong color, then it becomes offensive. And he was black, and he was talking about brown and Latino comedians using the N-word and kind of like being able to say these words. Like, I'm using the N-word and the phrase wetback and beaner, but then a black comedian does it, and now the black comedian's racist against Latinos and minorities.
Yeah.
And it gets weird. It's just
Well,
like,
that's okay. It's okay.
And that's why, like, I'm for
it's okay for black people to be racist.
it's okay for it's okay for nobody to be racist, but the idea that we are all not at some level, right? It's almost built into our system, and I don't think it's racism. I think it's just like hesitancy. We just want to be sure that we can trust people that we surround ourselves with, and sometimes it may be easier for me to trust somebody over someone else. But, we shouldn't base that off of skin color. I base it off of clothing, straight up. Like if you're wearing a certain type of outfit, like if you're wearing baggy pants and like a long ass chain, and you're wearing a grill and you got a neck tattoo, and you're like, what's up, man? And I'm like, I just described this guy that I met in Stockton. He scared the shit out of me. He had braids and he was white, right? So like, I'm just like, I don't want to really hang out with you.
This guy's most wanted in Malibu, dude.
Straight up. So I was like, yo, man, I'll talk to you, and I'll try and get to know you, but like from a distance.
He's white, man. He's got something to prove.
Until I'm able to know that you're fine. Like I have a neighbor. I didn't really trust him. I thought he dressed kind of shady. Got to have a conversation with him, and as over time, I realized that this person was really, really cool. And I am an asshole for prejudging him, but at a certain level, you have to protect yourself and your family and your close people that you love.
I'd have been hoping that he acted the character, where it's like all of a sudden he just like steals your ficus or something like that.
So this dude also is packing, like he carries a gun with him, and he showed me his gun several times. But he's like also
a conversation.
He's such like a Second Amendment gun nut. Like he's super about his paperwork. He's super about like he's an amazing guy. But I feel terrible because I judged him. Did I judge him based off of his skin color? I don't think it was that. I think that it's that, and in combination of like what he was wearing. Yeah. And just to be like, do I vibe with that? And like, I have to also be careful of who I interact with, because how I come off to other people, especially the way I talk, the way I present myself. People see me in a certain way too, right? Yeah. Where I walk into places and people speak to me immediately in Spanish, and I have to be like, no, English, please. Like,
yeah, that happens to me all the time too.
Oh yeah, yeah. You look like somebody would start talking German to you.
I went to the store and they're like, I went to the store earlier to get a drink when I was on my way here, and I walk in, and the woman there, like she doesn't realize, she's like filling ice, she doesn't see me, and she goes hola, and I go hola, and she like turned around and goes, oh sorry. I'm like it's a greeting, and it's actually a lot easier than hello.
I love it when I meet somebody who's like of a lighter complexion and just speaks fluent Spanish.
Yeah, have you seen those clips of the guy that he went to college in China, and he's horribly white, and like illy stricken with Caucasian, and he goes and orders Chinese takeout and from like Chinese restaurants, and
just
in fluent Mandarin, like and he would, and it freaks them out because they're like holy, and then it unlocks this whole level of personality from the people that he's talking to, because all of a sudden they start laughing with him, and they're like oh, and then they're like making jokes instead of this stern interaction of like I don't understand you, and like oh, this person must be stupid because they don't understand me, and it's dismissive.
As someone who's worked in restaurants, all of them are talking shit. All of them. All the Mexicans are talking shit. Everyone's talking shit.
Dude.
Or all the Latinos. Anybody in back there. I've been in kitchens, and I can speak English and Spanish, and let me tell y'all, most of the workers in kitchens are Spanish. And they're talking mad shit. And like, it's not like they hate people or they're mean or they're rude. They're just trying to get through the day.
That's just what they do.
And I feel like talking shit is such a fun cultural thing. Like in American culture, you'll like talking shit about other countries. And so do Latinos. They love talking shit about other countries, but they love talking shit about everybody.
Latinos. Okay, so like
Latinos are such shit talkers.
I was the only white guy in the kitchen at one point. Like I worked at a Tex-Mex restaurant.
And let me guess, they called you güero, and
they called me coñado. Coñado, because like, and his brother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, they accept me and everything like that. Nope, they just wanted to sleep with my sister. And it was an inside joke. It was an inside joke because they called me brother-in-law because they wanted to sleep. They wanted to sleep with her, and so all of a sudden I understood Spanish on a whole nother level. Like, because like then I could understand like, oh, sarcasm, like making jokes about like certain things, and so like,
my Spanish is absolutely garbage. My wife, who's born in Mexico, speaks fluent, beautiful Spanish. and like her English has improved being with me. My Spanish has not. Like,
does she yell at you in Spanish?
No,
Yeah.
she yells at me in English.
Yeah.
But thank God, because then if she was all like, I know you're upset, but I need Google Translate real fast. Like, I can speak Spanish. I can understand her, but the way she speaks Spanish, she speaks like a true Latin woman, where it sounds like, and I'm like, what?
I have some friends like that. Whenever they get really, really mad,
they revert to their original language.
Yeah, they start like speaking in Spanish. And
dude, you want to hear something really, really weird? Sorry to cut you off.
Of course I do.
I learned how to speak Spanish first when I was a baby, because my mom spoke to me in Spanish and then my grandparents spoke strictly Spanish. So like my first language was Spanish and my second language is English. But I learned English at the same time, but I learned Spanish first. When I was with a vocal coach, I told her that like when I speak Spanish, I speak differently. Like, okay, so this is me talking normally. Cuando hablo español, hablo aquí. La voz baja un poquito. When I speak in English, it comes up higher. So my tone is a lot higher in English. If I were to speak Spanish and then transfer into English, hablando aquí, right here, this is where I would talk in English. So hablando aquí, hablando right here is where I would talk in English if I were to keep the same tone. And she's saying that this is my true voice. This is where my voice actually lives because this is the first voice that I had. Now, when I talk normally, it's up here. It's a little bit more raspy. I'm using my head voice, chest voice, while my original sound, like I can't even like transition into it. I have to start in español. Aquí estoy hablando aquí, right here. This is where it goes, and this is where my...
Yeah, it sounds like it's like descending into your chest.
And this is where it starts. And it even feels different in my throat. Like where I normally talk feels way...
That's like the difference between Japanese and English. Because it's like the way that you pronounce it is... Because like...
It's like chopping vegetables.
Yeah, I'm speaking English and it's like up here. But then whenever you speak Japanese, you're like...
I failed for freshman English Japanese, and the special needs kid in that class passed. And I'm like, dude, he can't even speak English. How the hell did he learn a secondary language?
Yeah, he just needs to learn how to speak English.
But the point is that the Japanese, it's in syllables. Like everything is like ta, ka, ro, ru.
And how you say the syllables too, because like there's like hachi is chopsticks, and then like hachi is bridge.
Yeah.
And so I think I probably got that completely backwards though, but that's
either
like
way,
the only thing I learned in
little
Japanese.
inflections like that change the entire meaning of something. Like even in French, like if I saw somebody explain French words and was like, if I said this and then said the same exact sentence but put the inflection somewhere differently, it went from like something nice to something sexual.
Dude, that's something I've learned as well about Latino music, especially like pop music. That
they're talking about the same thing as they talk about in English.
They go like I heard like songs that like they should bleep out some of the content
for sure. And then
like Taki Taki, like there's like that song.
Yeah,
you know that like that song. That song. Yeah, the lyrics in English are obscene.
I know, dude.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want my. Like, it's like Taki 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 Taki, and I'm like, what?
Taki Taki, I'm assuming is some sexual innuendo or something. Like
I thought it was chips.
Oh yeah, everyone thought it was a Takis brands.
It's like you eat the chips and then Roomba, clean it up.
And then that little fucking beat in the back. That's really is what it's like.
Well, that is what happens, man. Like whenever you eat too many Takis, you got to get the Roomba out. You know what a Roomba is?
Yeah, a Roomba is that little iRobot.
Yeah, it's like what goes around and scares your cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I love those things.
Damn. I've been trying to get my hands on one because this little fur bag that I have behind me was shedding like crazy. We would clean these floors, and then the next thing you know, they were covered in hair. Like I would walk 3 feet, and the bottom of my feet would look like hobbits, and like the top of hobbit feet, dude. It's disgusting,
dude. I that's why like I don't like walking around my house with
bare feet.
With bare feet because it's like.
I wish I could walk the world in bare feet, dude.
Oh man, it would be great, but like I like to have
that liver disease.
I'm actually thinking about it right now. I'm just like, man, I got to go clean my house.
Hepatitis.
Yeah, exactly. Like the one thing, like dirty dishes are the hardest thing.
Also, man, congratulations for becoming and living in a stable home now, man.
Yes,
big ups.
I appreciate that.
You know, if you don't mind being vulnerable for the people listening. You were in a place of struggle, and then now you are doing much better. It seems like not only are you more stable, but you're been working on yourself to become better at handling your emotions and managing your thoughts and your feelings. I believe you also are on medication to better
antidepressant.
Have you seen that help you a lot?
Yeah. So literally just yesterday, there was a huge difference in how I behaved because I forgot to take my medication yesterday, and all of a sudden I was just back in this place of panic, anxiety, where like I was just breaking down throughout the day, and I'm like, oh wow, this sucked, and I did not know that I was living like that for years, like in that state of mind, and it was because of like my inability to get my life together that I was relying so heavily on my friends, my relationships, and everything, and I just put so much on all these other people, and I did that for years.
And it's rough to condition yourself into such a terrible position, because I also struggled with addiction. I'm going on 3 years clean, California sober.
Yeah.
So I no longer drink, and I no longer do cocaine, and it's going on 3 years. But during those times, the things that I did to cope with what was depression, anxiety, and later diagnoses like bipolar disorder, for me, it's just what you do in those situations to feel better end up creating neural pathways that end up, like, once you clean up life, it almost feels like they're trying to get you back to where you used to be. Like, for example, I know that if I have too many drinks, I will for sure crave my favorite drinking buddy with it, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't drink at all. And I'm such an extremist, I can't even it's either all in or all out. So I can't even just like casually like, oh yeah, I'll enjoy a beer or two. No, right? If I have like a hard cider, it's a rare occasion. But like I've stopped drinking, and it's definitely helped. But around those times where I was like drinking and partying and doing all these things that were like, they were unhealthy, but I understand that I was just trying to feel better because I just felt so bad.
Yes. That's how I feel too, is like whenever, cause like one thing right now that I'm kind of struggling with is, weed and like marijuana, where it's like, it's not necessarily the actual thing of marijuana, and like, cause that's something that doesn't really affect,
but it's the behaviors around it.
Exactly.
So
where it's
spending
like waking
too much
up,
money on it.
Yeah. Waking up and waking and baking, and like immediately, instead of just like organizing your brain, going to events and having to smoke weed before I go to them,
right?
Having to go on, like, before I can go on stage, I have to smoke weed. Before I ride, I have to smoke weed. Like,
that becomes super addictive. And have you thought about taking like a tea break?
Yeah, that's like, took a break for about 2 days, and it was just like,
go 2 weeks.
Yes, it is like that's where I'm trying to get at to right now, is trying to do a more sober living, instead of just like trying to have different, like always needing something to just shuck on or fill my lungs with. Or
from what my therapist says, she says that because I have similar behaviors where like I don't want to be in the reality that I'm in currently. I don't want to face the things that I'm facing right now. So I'll do something to like basically take my mind out of my body, where my body assumes that if my mind has enough time away from it, it will resolve itself. So I'm basically just playing a waiting game. But every time I come back into my body, or like I stop doing whatever the hell I'm doing, it almost feels like the thing that I was trying to run away from or cope from just gets worse, because I never actually get to address
that is very true. And like that, I've realized that I'm caught up in that kind of thing right now because of my my relationship with my daughter that I have, or the lack thereof, is a point of contention in my own life, because like I really want that to happen, and so it's
and you can make it happen.
Oh yes,
it's not about what we have done, because we can never change the past, but it's what we do today and moving forward that really dictates whether or not.
Yeah.
Because this is what I tell people, because this is how I look at things, especially when it comes to my own parents. They did the best that they could with the knowledge and resources that were available to them, and that's all I could have hoped. I don't, were they perfect parents? No, but they were loving and supportive. And those who don't have supportive parents, or had a terrible relationship with their parents, just know that they did the best that they could with the knowledge and resources that they had. What they chose to do with it is on their own volition, but that's not a reflection on you. Like, the sins of your father should never be passed down to the son.
That is also that is true, but it's like I have inherited like like my dad was a very nose to the grindstone, do what you got to do for your family, like not really, and he had a lot of resentment as a result, and he went unmedicated his entire life until like the last few years of his life, and like probably like the last year of his life he was medicated, and it was completely different. But he the anger of him, like especially whenever I stepped into being a father myself, I saw myself doing things that were precursors to how he behaved, and it just like really messed up my psyche.
For sure.
Because
step one is awareness. The fact that you're able to see that, because some people will just imitate the behaviors of their parents. They're either two things. You either become your parent or you become the exact opposite of your parent. And that's both positive and negative, because even if your dad or your mom is a total piece of shit, right? Maybe they do some things that are good, and because you hate them so much, you're not even willing to do the good things that they do because you don't want to be like them. You associate things that should be neutral with something negative. So the fact that are catching yourself and aware of your thoughts and your behaviors that are similar is fantastic. Number two, you have the opportunity to change it. The same way that my mom, I know that she's a hothead. I know that she's angry. I know my dad is very like nose to the grinder to do what you have to, stop complaining, stop being a little bitch. Like there are positives to that, but there are also negatives to that. So I have to take what works and modify and adapt what doesn't. So that way I benefit and I do better than what they had with their resources and knowledge. That makes sense?
That does make a lot of sense. And that's like that one of the most frustrating things too is like whenever your father was is your father still alive? And
my dad's still alive. Do
you have a good relationship with him?
Now I do, but like growing up, he treated me kind of similar to like if I was a girl, where he wouldn't let me go out, he wouldn't let me do anything. I'd have to be home at a certain time.
You got you on birth control? Yeah,
pretty much. Basically, he just didn't want me to be out, because if I was out, then I was going to do what he did, which was go out and party and drink and get fucked up and get somebody pregnant, which was what he did. Right. So to avoid his behaviors, he kind of made it worse by like caging me, because the minute I was 18, he couldn't tell me shit, and I just out the door like a tiger out of a cage, right? Yeah. I got my ears pierced on my 5 days. No, I got my lip pierced 5 days after my 18th birthday, right? I told my dad I hadn't seen him, but I was like, I have to tell my dad. I have to tell my dad. My mom knew, she was cool with it. Luckily enough, well, unluckily, my uncle died. Her dad's brother, my uncle, died the day I got my lip pierced, so she didn't have time to spare on me and my lip piercing, right? I'm 18, figure it the fuck out.
Someone just died, bro.
Right. And so she was distraught. My dad, however, I had to tell my dad I hadn't seen him in like 2 weeks, so I called him and I was like, hey dad, don't freak out, but I got my lip pierced. And he thought I was joking, and I was like, I'm not. He got mad. He hung up, called me back immediately, called me a faggot, said he didn't want to talk to me anymore, and stopped talking to me.
Oh, cool.
A month later, my little brother was born. It was his first kid after me. This happened in January, born in February, right? He calls me. It's probably been like about 2 weeks. 3 weeks since we stopped talking, 2 weeks since he was born. And he calls me, he's frustrated, and I could tell he's frustrated, and he says, I want you to meet your brother. And I said, that's fine. I'm willing to meet my brother, but I got to let you know, I also pierced my ears. He said, what? And then hung up the phone. I didn't talk to him for 8 months. Right? And that was my 18th year of existence.
Yeah.
We ended up seeing each other. We ended up talking it out. He said, fuck it. Right? And then he just kind of let loose. But like, my relationship with my dad was super struggle up until I turned 18, almost 19, because, that whole year where we didn't even talk. Now I call my dad for anything, and it's just like we found a way to relate to each other. I call him almost every day. He calls me, telling me, we tell each other we love each other. He came to visit me in Austin. He just beat cancer.
Nice.
I know, right? He lost a bunch of weight. He quit. He was an alcoholic, and he stopped drinking for like 15 plus years. So there's a lot of like good things, but the relationship growing up was rough. And then a lot of things that I did in my teens and early 20s was a way of trying to impress him.
Are you his first kid?
Yeah, I'm the first kid between both my parents.
Oh, snap.
And then they never stayed together.
So like, I thought it was always funny, like whenever I was growing up, my dad was like, "Oh, I was your age one point. I was at that age," and I'm like, "Well, have you ever raised kids before?" And it's like, "Oh, looks like we're both doing this for the first time."
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe not have so much pressure on yourself. And I think that's where he was coming from too. Is like, I think that's where our fathers come from. Is that,
and the older they get, the calmer they get.
because like they've gone through the time and they've gone through it, but they were literally doing it for the first time every time.
Yeah.
Every day. They have never experienced that day before. They've never experienced that year of your life before. And it's
such a perception that's so hard to get.
They have to get it right.
It's so hard to
understand.
Time. It's so hard for somebody who's experienced life to come to that conclusion. And the fact that you're coming to the conclusion at a younger age than your dad shows that you've not only kind of surpassed him, but have done better. And whatever he did to you made you who you are.
Thank goodness he did it. Yeah, like thank goodness, like I experienced my father, and he showed me the wrong way to do things at one point. And it wasn't because like he was malicious or a bad person. It's like he was just doing it for the first time, and
he was doing his best.
If he had a reset, if he had had the opportunity to go back with all the knowledge that he had at the end of his life, and he went back to being like 30. I think he was like 34 whenever he had me. He
would have done it differently.
Oh yeah, he'd have done it so much better.
But everyone would have.
He'd done it perfectly.
That's why, like when I look back at these things, these times where maybe it wasn't all good with my parents, I think to myself, I'm just like, if I went through every single thing that they had gone through in the exact same sequence that they did, and took every step that they had, probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably wouldn't have even done it as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I know as soon as I stepped into being a father and saw how difficult it was to do it, I had more of a respect for my father personally, and because like it's very difficult to tell me what to do.
For sure.
It's very like to
your will is stronger than the reality,
bro. I have definitely put my parents through all kinds of worry.
Me too,
dude.
I was just I made a TikTok about it.
I'm very hard to love,
dude. I was such an asshole as a kid. I feel so like, again, this is why I'm so positive, because I spent so many years between like 5th and 6th grade all the way until like almost 18 years old, where I was just negative. I was self-harming. I was an emo in high school. I used to cut myself. And it was like, there was just terrible things that I would do because I was so frustrated and I had all these feelings and emotions. And I'm also inheriting all the shit that my parents had going on. And, my mom is unmedicated. I believe that she probably should be a little medicated, but she's so high functioning, and so am I, that it was hard to come to the conclusion of like, hey, maybe I do need a little bit of help. Maybe my brain doesn't work in the same way that other people's brains work. Maybe I do need some help.
Yeah. And it's not working in the way that it needs to work.
And I'm on medication now, and it has helped me with my anxiety, with my depression, with my mood swings. It's helped me become more manageable. I don't want to say normal, because what the fuck is normal? But it has helped me become manageable. And I feel like my day-to-day experiences are much better on it. And I can't believe now at this point, I've gone so many years feeling this way. I felt like this was a never-ending issue. And now that I'm kind of like in a better place, I have stability, I have an amazing support system, and now I have a little bit of medicine. Now all of a sudden life isn't so like walking on glass and lemon.
My dad died in September last year, and
sorry for your loss.
Oh, no worries. It was it's odd because it was kind of a gain, because while my father was alive, I wasn't allowed to go home. And so I didn't have a home to live in. And there was like this desperation that I had for so long. Even like predating stand-up comedy, that I had to, there's no security blanket. There's like no going back home. And, then he passed away. And then all of a sudden, like, this life of desperation I was feeling, where I was relying so heavily on other people, to fill and help me out. Like, now I have this resource again, where like, I have a place where I can stay. I have security. Like I'm fine. Like everything's cool.
Sometimes that's all you really need in order to stop.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Like to me, like to my system, it was it was devastating because like
You almost don't know what to do with it.
I didn't know what to do because like before I got on medication, I was breaking down. It was like right after a breakup, and my dad just died, and I'd moved from Austin, and I felt like a huge failure because I was just like, I want to be a comedian in Austin, but I can't even pay my rent or anything like that, and I'm just like I'm such a loser, and I was just like I felt so bad about everything, and
you chose to believe these thoughts as truth.
Man, it was hard not to hear them after all of the evidence, like looking back on my life and seeing all the evidence that I had of like, you messed this up, you made this poor decision, you did all these things, and like owning up to that responsibility and not letting it overtake me was something that was very hard. You
also have to realize, regardless of what you did in the past, again, the past is unable to be changed, but from what you do today moving forward is always in your control.
And there's always a fear that you'll redo the past.
Of course, there's always the fear of it, and that's kind of like what shame is for, because I carried a lot of shame around a lot of things, and what I realized is what shame does is it encourages better behavior, so that way we don't do it again. And then penance is what you do in order to kind of like atone for your sins. And I grew up Catholic. So this is the way I
confirmed in the Catholic Church, brother.
Yeah, same here, bro. I got to be married. You know, all these people being married in the church are like, oh, you have to go through confirmation and stuff. And I'm just like, I already got that done in 8th grade.
Oh, yeah.
So like, this is how I think about it. Like there's shame and the shame of my past behaviors, because I'm not a perfect being, and I've made terrible mistakes, right? But if not for those things, if not for all the experiences that I have, I wouldn't be who I am, and I love who I am, especially right now in this moment. And I love the person that you are, because you are open, you are willing, you are excited for life, you are so loving.
I'm also handsome.
At that too.
Yep.
I was trying to go for inner beauty as well.
Incredibly humble.
Yeah, 6'2", right? Yes. Jealous of that. And then apparently schlong like a Donkey Kong. So
no, it fits my body. It looks like it's supposed to be there.
Perfect.
Like you don't look at it and go, "What the hell is that?" But
you couldn't have gotten a better set of cards, right? Mm-hmm. So if not for the things that you went through, you wouldn't be who you are today. And like, I appreciate the person that you are sitting in front of me, regardless of however you think you're doing or whatever you've been through. I'm proud of you for being in a better place.
No, thank you. Likewise, man.
Thanks.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm just happy
to be in a really good place, and I'm glad to see that you are in a better place than where you were. I feel like everybody who's going through a struggle, hey, the struggle isn't forever.
Oh yeah. There's more steps to take, and I'm very excited for the future to see what sort of challenges are going to come to me and how am I going to handle them, and I hope I handle them in a funny way. If I'm going to be mad about it, I hope it's funny.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Sunny, I appreciate you so much for being a guest on this podcast and having one of the funnest conversations I've had on tape.
Oh, fantastic.
How can people find you?
You can follow my Instagram at Sunny D Carlin. I usually post stuff whenever I get on shows or anything. I'll just, post a flyer probably a day beforehand.
Sure. Just to keep up with you on Instagram in order to follow and maybe see you live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can see me live that way. You can also catch me at 7-Elevens around Austin, usually around Central Austin. I love chicken salad sandwiches from 7-Eleven. I'm actually really super excited because I have half of one in my refrigerator at home.
You talk about them like it's gold. I might have to go and find this.
They're great.
Well, again, Sunny, I appreciate you so much, and until next time, buddy.
Yes, indeed. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. If you love this episode, please consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Music or iTunes. It takes 30 seconds for you, but for us, it helps spread positivity to more people during these chaotic times. It helps build a community, and it makes me smile from ear to ear. Speaking of community, we have a Facebook group, www.facebook.com/groups/Carpe Natem. Just answer the 3 questions to get access to some extra motivation and inspiration for your timeline. Jesus. If you would like to support the podcast, screenshot this episode and share it to your story and tag me on Instagram at carpenatem114.com. That's going to be my handle across all platforms, including TikTok, if you would like to give me a follow. If you haven't already, please rate us and subscribe on Spotify or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. And lastly, you can find all episodes, links to resources, and opportunities for coaching and mentoring from me at carpenatem114.com. I cannot thank you enough for spending part of your day with me. You are all rock stars taking the necessary steps to be your best self, willing to do whatever it takes, and ready to grab life by the butt cheeks. So until next time, this is Nate De La Hoya-Reynoso signing off.